I have a letter to read that I was asked, and I'm sure it's not going to be too happy here. Dear Board of Supervisors of Somerset Township, please accept this letter as my formal resignation from my planning and zoning coordinator position effective immediately. This decision, though difficult, follows a series of ongoing and unresolved challenges within the workplace that have impacted my ability to serve effectively and to maintain my personal well-being. While I've always approached my role with professionalism and integrity, the overall conditions have made continued employment unsustainable. Since the beginning of my tenure, I have worked to correct long-standing deficiencies in the township operations, including rebuilding and modernizing records, completing previously mishandled agricultural security area filings, and implementing consistent planning protocols. These efforts earned positive feedback from multiple outside agencies and consultants, including Washington County Planning Commission and Strategic Solutions. My work was routinely described as efficient, accurate, and professional. Despite this, I experienced repeated conduct in the workplace that undermined my professional standing. I was publicly disparaged, personally harassed, and subject to dismissive and defamatory remarks, all of which were not only directed to me, but permitted to continue without intervention. In one instance, I was accused of theft and time fraud without any evidence. This occurred despite clear documentations of my activities and communications while working remotely on a schedule expressly approved by the board. The nature of these accusations were personally and professionally damaging, deeply distressing, and wholly inconsistent with the facts. This intentionally excluded from decision-making, denied critical information, and deliberately left out of clear expectations. Despite my repeated reports and requests for intervention, this treatment was continually tolerated and not implicitly endorsed. I also encountered shifting directives regarding my work schedule and benefits. Also, after informing the township of my planned move, I was pressured to reduce my schedule to 32 hours per week while working remotely 1 day a week. I complied with this directive only, wow, my eyes are not doing too good today. I complied with this directive only to latter be required to return to a full-time schedule at the solicitor's recommendation. I requested this directive in writing in clarity and consistency, as I have previously been required to submit a written report for the original change. However, not surprisingly, one was never provided. Yet no explanation, no documentation was ever given for these abrupt changes, which were clearly designated to create an unstable and inconsistent work structure. In addition, despite the abrupt elimination of my ability to work from home 1 day a week, a supervisor urged me to take a job working for his brother at another borough on one occasion. Moreover, I observed an ongoing pattern of desperate treatment and favoritism, and there were numerous times when personal relationships influenced supervisory decisions. Male individuals were permitted leniency, while females, myself included, were criticized for the same conduct. Gender-based comments such as a board member asking if the road crew, if the girls were in the office, reflect a dismissive attitude towards female staff. Additionally, I was followed throughout the day by a supervisor who wanted to confirm I was working. A record of my car's precedence in the parking lot was made, and I was generally singled out. Unlike other employees, that same supervisor even noted that I left the office early because I was not present at 2:30 on April 1st. However, I was working from home, consistent with the pre-approved schedule. These represent just some of the constant, unjustified scrutiny that I endured, and they speak volumes about the unequal treatment and baseless accusations directed at me. This was not evident, this was most evident, in the uneven application of remote work from home privileges and disciplinary procedures. On more than one occasion, I learned that other staff, including relatives of board members, were permitted to work from home. Only those standards to be later denied and re-characterized when applied to me. This differing treatment persisted even though I had a particular personal need or special accommodation, which was well known by the board. Such inconsistencies created confusion, eroded trust, and created a work environment where fair and impartial treatment could not be relied on. In addition to experiencing the disparagement treatment outlined above, I was subject to repeated and increasingly more hostile, inappropriate, unprofessional conduct throughout my employment. The combination of these factors has led me to the unavoidable conclusion that I can no longer continue this position. Of personal concern are personal remarks made by a board member, including unsolicited comments about my physical appearance, such as that I smell good and refers in my clothes. I've also received text messages of an unprofessional nature, wanting to characterize my fiancé as lucky to be in a relationship with me. These comments were unwelcome, inappropriate, and conducted in a work environment marked by discomfort and a lack of respect for professional boundaries. A member of the zoning board told me that I was to the book because his friend had to have a hearing for the laws and they were on the books for years. The same person asked me to look the other way when his friend's hearing, even though I had no decision-making authority. He also accused the township of stealing his property, which was township property. He ridiculed and laughed at me, suggested I couldn't get a job with 911. This conduct was promoted because he learned that the planning commission member physically intimidated me in the workplace, resulting in police being called to de-escalate the situation. A board member later openly dismissed this incident, questioning the facts and undermined my credibility. This demonstrates a profound disregard for employee safety and professionalism. Immediately before this incident, the planning commission member shouted at me that things between our professional relationships had become personal. Another occasion, in a moment of what I call only decision of narcissism and outright paranoia, this same planning commission member accused me of being planted here to bring business. He and others also repeatedly criticized me for not being a resident, which was not a requirement under the second-class township code or the township code ordinances. A board member asked me, where do you put your building permit money? In your own account? This is an outright unfounded and defamatory accusation that directly impinged my integrity. Recently, I learned that a board member disclosed my private and personal information. Discussing employees' personal matters without consent is wholly inappropriate and violates basic confidentiality standards. These unfounded comments not only insulted my character, but also created an unsafe, intimidating, and hostile environment. The cumulative effect of these experiences, including the sanctioned public disparagement and denigration based on defamatory accusations, shifting expectations, and inconsistent and discriminatory application of workplace policies, resulted in an atmosphere that was not just discouraging, but palpably hostile. My attempts to raise legitimate concerns for my safety and the others were ignored. My attempts to clarify continually shifting expectations were often dismissed, and I received next to no support in navigating this hostile and abusive environment where the challenges created by these inconsistent and at times contradictory business directives. Nevertheless, I am sincerely grateful to those who demonstrated professionalism and support throughout my time here, particularly Julie, Roy, Mike Lukatich, and Mike Bayer. Their conduct stood in marked contrast to the broader environment that provided stability in an otherwise hostile setting. She's been closed for the final time sheet, and it says, I respectfully request prompt payment for these amounts as they are due and owing me based on the township's past payment practices according to contractual obligation. This is my final payment of wages accrued and leave. Please provide any information. If I need it, I will access my pension benefit. And the rest of it is to ensure continuity. I've organized all pending matters, records, logged in credentials in the township office system. I've also shared transition notes and updates on the current matters in the township secretary for reference. I leave this position with my integrity firmly intact and a clear conscience, confident in the principles that have guided my conduct. I sincerely hope township leadership will, in time, undertake meaningful and lasting reforms to ensure that all employees are treated with professionalism, respect, and fairness they deserve. They are not merely aspirational ideas, they are the foundational duties of public service and indispensable to the preservation of government and public's trust. So that was given to me to ask to read to you. There you have it, you all have a copy. Thank you.
Could you tell me the name of the person that wrote that?
It was in there.
The name, I didn't hear it.
We didn't say.
We didn't, no,
What?
it was never
Lindsay
read.
Stratt.
There you go.
So who's gonna get sued? Just the supervisor of everybody sitting in this room? Huh? It's a valid question.
Yeah, it is valid.